In this video, we're talking about food stamps as a payment option. And so the other name for food stamps as a payment option is EBT, right? So in some states it's called food stamps, in other states it's called EBT, but ultimately it's a government-funded payment, which is given in form of a credit card, if you will, or a debit card or EBT card. To a customer or a recipient, and they can present that card and use it as a payment towards food items mostly, right? So you can't buy alcohol, you can't buy cigarettes with food stamps, but you can buy food with food stamps. And as a merchant, as a retailer, right? So if in your area it makes sense to accept that payment type, then you have to be aware of certain conditions, right? So first of all, you have to make sure that certain items are not paid for with that payment type, like alcohol or cigarettes or furniture, right? So you can pay with food stamps for furniture or alcohol or cigarettes. You can rent out DVDs, things like that. You can't do any of it. So it has to, there's a very specific items that you have to do. So there's some recognition of transactions that has to happen if you're doing both, right? So if you're selling alcohol, tobacco, and some food items, right? So that doesn't preclude you from accepting the food stamps. It just requires you to separate out your payments, and that's where the challenge comes natively with Clover. So on its own, Clover won't separate out these items or identify them as one or the other. And so with the use of Inventory++, an app by CSI Works, I am going to demonstrate how it can be done. So we go to the menu and click on Settings, and then we click on EBT Settings. And again, food stamp, EBT is the same thing. There's an on and off switch here, so we want it turned on, right? And then we assign items that we can consider food stamp approved. So in our case, we selected desserts and fruits and just left everything else without category as unselected. So that makes our desserts and fruits approved for EBT or food stamps and nothing else. Remove taxes, that's an option, because if otherwise you are charging taxes for this item in the EBT or food stamp scenario, you cannot. And so that's why you want to have this remove taxes here. And that's it, that's saved, and then you just proceed with your normal transaction, right? So we can go to fruits, grab an apple, right? And that goes into our EBT item, as you can see. Let me get out of fruits, go into my something and say I want 10 of these things at £5 each. Right, so obviously that's not EBT, and you can see how valuable that is. So if you had to manually separate those things out, that would take some time. So then you go to payment, and it gives you this EBT or food stamp alert, which if you get tired of it, you can basically uncheck this checkbox here. But for now, I'm going to click it for demonstration purposes. I'm going to keep it there. And the real value of what we just did is hidden in this split by guest, because if you go here, what you will see is that we're keeping your items separate. So your EBT items are right here, and you can select them and go to your payment, and now you're just paying for EBT items, and that's a good time to accept EBT as a payment because those items are approved, it's all clean, it's all good, you're not going to get in trouble. You'll notice that I just did a cash transaction. It's because it's a demo device, doesn't have EBT enabled. And then there's the remainder of items which I can go and process again with cash. That would be like a normal scenario. And so basically you've split the payment on these transactions, and in doing so you're accepting a payment type that your consumers want and staying compliant with the requirements of those payment types. And again, food stamps, EBT are the terms that we normally use interchangeably. Same thing, different states.